Staff and Graph Podcast. I'm Mike Stevens. This is the coolest gal in school, Rachel Dory. Rachel, you look like someone who would be a bad influence on me.
I am the kid that like every parent tells their child, stay away from.
Exactly. And yet here we are. It's bright and early on a Friday morning.
The sun is searing.
The sun is sizzling into this into our studio here. We have a power bar duct taped onto the wall so our camera can charge at the same time that it is recording for us. It's just, everything's just lovely. So Rachel, we don't want to come on here and make every episode a Sens episode.
We really don't. I'd love to talk about another hockey team.
Like we had to make an entire episode, a Sens episode, after Shane Pinto received like the longest suspension in the NHL especially for an off-ice incident in a very long time.
Yeah.
And we thought, okay, we detailed all of their, all of the troubles, all of the
peril,
the chaos, the shenanigans that had unfolded in our nation's capital, at the start of the season.
Oh yes, we're Canadian.
Yes, we are. And yet it turns out, tip of the iceberg. Yeah, I just got to say, I cannot wait until this sun goes up a little bit more so I can take these sunglasses off and not look ridiculous. Yeah, it's fine. I like the vibe.
The sun is searing into my eyeballs now. So
I'm glad we switched up the seating arrangement on the podcast, because that happened one time where we're recording and the sun just slowly went into my eyes.
Mike was getting a tan inside.
I've gotten sunburned inside before. That's how pale I am.
Are you that white?
That's how pale I am. Back in my old place, remember at Blue Jays Way?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have like blinds or whatever because I was too poor. And my the seat, like my recliner was right by the window. And there was a day where I was just like Saturday or whatever, I was just chilling, watching like the Jays game in my recliner. And I'm like, I'm kind of like sore. And I look at my arm because I was wearing like a sleeveless shirt or something. And I was just like roasting inside. That's how white I am.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm not that white.
No, you can get a tan. I've seen you get a tan.
Yeah. Wait till you see. So my mom comes home from our house in Mexico this weekend. Wait till you see. Like, I'm gonna send you a picture. This woman comes back as a different race.
Yeah,
it's wild. Anyways, back to the Sens. Okay.
So what happened?
So first of all, I just like to say that Michael Andlauer is now my favorite owner in the NHL. I'm
very glad he got the Sens.
Yeah. I think, first of all, I think given his experience as an NHL owner in Montreal, he's kind of best suited for it. And now you can see, one, Michael Andlauer, if for people who don't know, is a really successful businessman who doesn't operate shady. You know what I mean? Like,
which is rare.
It is really rare, but everyone that I talked to in like the business world, because that's the world my parents are in, like everyone said, this guy's on the straight and narrow. Like, he does things properly, highly ethical, a lot of integrity. And I'm like, hey, that's honestly, we could use some of that.
That's great.
Sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like, seeing this guy in the press conference being like, don't even tell me why I got stuck with this.
So before we get onto that, let's talk about what actually happened.
So the Sens got stripped of a first round pick for their part in the Evgeny Dadonov non-trade between Vegas and Anaheim. And the backstory is that originally Michael Andlauer had kind of talked the league out of the first round pick strip, and Bill Foley went back and kind of like pushed the issue, and so did the Samuelis, which are the owners of Anaheim. And so it kind of seemed like the reason the Sens got punished was because Vegas didn't want other players / teams, agents thinking that they screw over players. And it's kind of like, man, you got that reputation all on your own.
So what happened back in the day in July, and by back in the day, I mean July 2021.
Back in the day,
a simpler time. Actually, no, it wasn't. So it was
a terrible time.
That was the throes of COVID. But July 2021, the what's it called? The Ottawa Senators trade forward Evgeny Dadonov to the Vegas Golden Knights in exchange for Nick Holden and a third round pick. Now,
bad trade.
Bad trade.
On its surface, bad trade.
For whom?
What do you mean?
Like, who do you think is bad? Who do you think it got the worst of that trade?
Ottawa.
Yes. Well, especially because Nick Holden's retired right now. But
and Evgeny Dadonov is like scoring goals for Dallas.
Yes, exactly. He didn't look that good. He's on a good team now, which is good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dadonov had a 10-team no-trade clause. Now, what's crazy is, like, I believe this information is available on, like, Cap Friendly. Like, I'm not sure if it was at the time. I can't corroborate that.
The thing is it wasn't until this situation. I verified with Central Registry that they don't have a database.
Yeah, that's
all of the no trade lists, and I'm like, that seems very wrong. Dumb.
I remember that was a big thing, being like, what do you mean you don't have a data? Like, when this is all going down, so
they still don't have one, by the way,
which is crazy. Yeah,
like you wouldn't
want to rectify this situation. No. But yeah, so they trade Dadonov to Vegas, and they don't inform Vegas of his 10-team no trade clause. So later that year at the deadline, and by the way, Dadonov at this point makes $5 million. Vegas struggling to make that final playoff push. They're like, all right, let's clear some cap space so we can activate Mark Stone, who's again on LTIR until the playoffs,
and actively a better player.
Yeah, so let's trade Dadonov to the Sens, or not to the Ducks, in exchange for, in among other things, a 2nd-round pick, and also Ryan Kessler's contract. Again, committing like salary fraud, but whatever. That's Gary Bettman's problem, not our problem.
Exactly.
And Dadonov's like, hey buckaroo, slow down.
I got an NTC.
I got a 10-team no trade. Anaheim is on that on that list. Why California is on that list? Not sure. But
taxes.
Probably okay.
54%.
Jeez Louise. So
they actually pay more taxes than we do.
Which I didn't even think that was possible. But
yeah, I know, considering how much tax we pay.
Just crazy. So he's like, vetoes that.
Can't blame him.
And all of this gets messed up.
Right. And everyone is kind of clowning on Vegas. So let's leave. Everyone kind of knows. So now we get an investigation. The Sens are up for sale. Michael Andlauer asks about this. And he is told by the group that is selling the Sens, nothing to worry about.
It's a non-issue.
It's a non-issue.
Is what the word was. He goes, hey, me and a bunch of my friends are about to spend $1.1 billion, like 900 million US, I believe it was. So what, like basically $1.1 billion on this thing. Is there anything we should know? And they go, there's this one little thing, but it's not a big deal. It's a non-issue.
And then God bless him, because this quote was truly incredible in the press conference on Wednesday. I don't know if a 1st-round pick's a non-issue to you, but it's an issue to me. Yes, I'm really glad that this owner has said 1st-round picks are important. We shouldn't just be eschewing them for no good reason. That's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people immediately, and I was definitely one of them, went right to the Blackhawks.
Oh, yeah. Everyone did.
So, yes, I understand hockey issue versus non-hockey issue. That's not the point. The point is we are saying that violating a no trade clause is a worse violation than a sexual assault cover-up. That's what we're saying there. And it's a sexual assault cover-up that resulted in minors getting sexually assaulted because he went on to coach.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue there. But I think the better comparison is the New Jersey Devils, because they also, Josh Harris and David Blitzer came in. Those are the 2 guys that I used to work for.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of waited. They pushed it off. And the league said, okay, we'll give you your pick back. It's going to be the last pick in the 1st round, and you're not allowed to trade. Like, you can't trade that pick. Yeah. If you want to trade up in the draft, you have to use
whatever else,
other things, but that pick belongs to you. It cannot be traded.
You are picking 30th. It was 30th, right?
Yeah. And that was for the Ilya Kovalchuk's 17-year contract, which was hilarious. Cap circumvention, which is no different than some of the crap that goes on today. So I don't blame, if I'm Michael Andlauer, between Shane Pinto and Evgeny Dadonov situations, I'm furious. I've paid $1.1 billion to be told that it's a non-issue, and now I've lost one of my pretty much top young players. And what?
And forfeited a 1st-round pick. And on top of that, it's not just the material losses here. Shane Pinto, it's the hit in brand.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's laughing at the Ottawa Senators right now. We're doing a whole podcast, basically. It's not all going to be about the Sens, but like we're doing almost a whole podcast about all of the crap that has been going on with the Senators.
And you have to, like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like I'm kind of rooting for the Sens now because they have a new owner who very clearly is super invested in the team. It came out this morning that while the Sens are in Sweden for their global tour, he is going to melt the ice and put in the higher quality ice because his players have been complaining about the quality of the ice. So this guy, and I don't know if anybody knows how expensive that is.
It's very expensive.
Like multiple millions of dollars.
However,
but this guy's, what I'm saying is they clearly have an owner
who
that's
cares?
Really invested in the team. And so for this to be happening to him, I don't like that.
No, absolutely. Also, can I just say, like, a first round pick is really steep for this.
Yeah.
Like
a third kind of, or maybe the second that Anaheim was angry about.
Yeah.
A second would have been fine.
Or even like, honestly, and I know it's like, you know, like if you can be like, all right, you give up seconds in consecutive years, like that's a lot, but like whatever. It also like the like a first round pick carries with it like the prestige of a first round pick.
Right.
It's a big penalty. You know, like in the NBA, teams get stripped of second round picks for tampering or whatever all the time.
So this is something that I was kind of thinking about in regards to Pinto and the Dodonov situation, and then we should probably talk about Pierre Doriout.
Yes.
But I think my biggest issue with all of this is the NHL's statements in this. Zero transparency. It's like Shane Pinto was suspended, but we're not going to tell you what he was suspended for. We're not even going to tell the players. So they might get suspended for not even knowing. I would have a massive issue, by the way, if that happened. If another player got suspended for what Pinto was doing because he didn't know, I would lose my mind.
So Elliot Friedman said in 32 Thoughts, because I read it last night when it got posted, that players like after that happened, players across the league were like blowing up their agents' phones, being like, "Am I like? Could this happen to me? Like,
exactly.
Am I doing something wrong?"
So lack of transparency there. Then the Dadonov thing, total lack of transparency. We don't even know what the Sens did.
Yeah,
but it warranted a first round pick and getting fired. I don't. If you are gonna strip a first round pick, or you are gonna suspend a player 41 games, we need a little bit more information. Like, you don't have to be completely transparent because maybe there's stuff in the background that was negotiated, especially with Pinto. But for the Dodonov thing, you can't just be like, "Hey, this is the end of this." No. Be upfront about what the heck is going on.
You have to have some transparency. You can't expect fans to shell out, you know, like their hard-earned money for merch, shell out their hard-earned money for tickets, and also like
and then treat them
buy-in.
Yeah.
And then you could just be like, "Oh yeah, your favorite player, he's suspended for 41 games, and we're only going to tell you like the I would say like sort of the vibe
subject. Yeah.
Like the vibe of his suspension.
We're not going to tell you. Yeah. Like this is, I can't even believe I'm going to say this. This suspension and punishment is more vague than like Department of Player Safety, who I actually think this year has done
doing a great job.
Pretty good job.
And listen, I want to be, because I found it very funny last year that, you know, it was at Bettman's State of the Union. I asked him about George Peros. I basically said, like, do you think it's responsible for a guy in charge of player safety to, you know,
actively endanger players?
Well, also like to have had like be the co-founder of a brand called Violent Gentlemen, celebrating violence. And as I asked that question, George Peros walked into the room apparently.
Dead.
I did not know. I was like right at the front. So I've been hard on Peros, and I want to say, fantastic job this year.
Right, and the fact that Charlie McAvoy is appealing his 4-game suspension, buddy, you should have gotten like 6. This is your second suspension for a hit to the head, and it was bad.
And this one will get. Like Bettman will come and overrule it as well. Like this will be the second straight, and hopefully this will be like players will be like, "No,
you're not doing this." Yeah, exactly. All right.
But anyway, back to Doriout. So this was apparently the straw that broke the camel's back.
And he was going to be out anyways. Like
we knew it.
They hired Sean Tierney, who is super smart analytics wise. Obviously, Pierre McGuire was gone before any of this, but like,
and Pierre McGuire was a Eugene thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like the writing was on the wall, and I feel like Ian Mendes had a piece in The Athletic. And I thought it did a really good job of like detailing Pierre Dorion's tenure as Sens GM. And Pierre Doriout did do a lot of really great things, like Tim Stützle, Jake Sanderson, like
I have a list
Brady Tkachuk. Like, we'll go through it quickly. But the problem he has is now his legacy is
totally tarnished.
The Mans, right?
With, I'd even bring that up. Yeah.
Right.
Forgot all about that.
Dodonov. He oversaw the Duchesne thing. Like,
I'm in our prep. I did a list of like good moves, sort of, that he made. Let's
rhyme them off,
and we'll break them down, because I do sort of want to do a bit of a breakdown of Pierre Dorian's like legacy here, because he's been a very embattled GM, and we have to keep in mind that
Eugene was a big part of that.
For a lot of it, he was kind of general managing with one hand tied behind his back, and I think what happened here basically is he was so used to basically fighting with one hand tied behind his back, that when he finally got both hands free, that he just started punching himself in the face with one of them, because he didn't know what to do with having two free hands.
Right.
It's like when a baby deer like has these long legs, or like, oh, I don't know what to do with these things.
The giraffes when they're born.
Yeah, exactly. But Pierre,
baby giraffe.
And also I want to say
Pierre Dorion is a baby giraffe.
That's a weird image, man. But what I also want to say too with Dorion is like some of his, and we're gonna list like some of his good moves here. I would say his best moves. But hey, we're into the sun has gone past sunglass territory here. It's great. But like a lot of his moves, like his good moves, are just like re-signing his own RFAs, which like there's value to that.
Yeah, like Stützle contract, good. Tkachuk contract, good. Sanderson contract, excellent.
But like how hard is it to re-sign your own players?
Not difficult.
Especially when you like, it's not even like they're going to be UFAs. Like you have the right, so it's not even like they have a say in it. Like it's anyway. So obviously drafting Tkachuk, Stützle, and Sanderson, and then signing those deals, that was good.
10 out of 10 on those, all of them. 10 out of 10.
You know, like signing Giroux and Tarasenko. Like Giroux, definitely. Tarasenko has played well for the Sens this year, despite what Sean Simpson might say. So that's good. And then acquiring Jacob Chychrun. That trade was fantastic,
phenomenal. He's made the core of this team.
Exactly. Being able to keep in mind that core has a ceiling of like being 10th in the conference at this point, considering that's all they've accomplished. But okay. On top of that, the Erik Karlsson trade. They were able, as much as it was bad that situation got to that point, and that's on. It netted them the draft picks to get Josh Norris and Tim Stützle, and it got them a season of Dylan DeMello that they then turned, I believe, into a second round pick.
Yeah, they won that trade.
So they were able to get that good. And then Ryan Dzingel in a 7th for 2 second round picks and Anthony Duclair.
Not bad.
Good. And then also getting a first and like, I guess, other prospects for Peugeot at the deadline.
Yeah.
Very, very good considering what he's getting paid.
The only trade that they really lost, like the big trade, was the Mark Stone trade. They lost that trade.
So, no, there's a lot more that they lost.
No, but I'm saying the big trades, like Karlsson, Stone.
Would you say Zibanejad is not a big trade?
Did he make that deal?
He did. So, Zibanejad.
At the time, it wasn't a big deal. Yeah, okay. Now it's a big deal.
Now it's crippling, basically. But at the time...
whereas Mark Stone was like...
Yeah, Mark Stone was like a Selke. I believe did he win a Selke?
No, was a nominee though. Yeah. And like the second that trade was made, I was like, this is a bad trade.
Yeah. And then he just captained his team to the cup. So remarkable. But yeah, so bad, like a couple of his bad moves, I would say.
Okay. So right now, all good. Those are
good. Those are good trades. Like
perfect.
And signings. I think those have all built the core. I want to add. You could even add the Thomas Chabot contract. In there
I
too.
don't like the Thomas Chabot contract.
Okay, never mind. That you don't add the Thomas Chabot contract into that. You just pretend I didn't say that.
Okay.
But on top of that, and like then we wade into more of the Pierre Dorion. I would say like muddy waters.
The let him cook sort of situation.
The summer of Pierre, like yeah. So. Zibanejad trade. He traded Mika Zibanejad and a 7th round pick. Zibanejad and a 2nd round pick for Brassard and a 7th.
Yeah, we don't even need to talk about how bad that is.
We know that's bad.
Yeah.
Both Matt Duchene trades were bad.
To
get Matt Duchene, giving up Kyle Turris, the pick that became Bowen Byram, Shane. I think the pick that became Shane Bowers or actual Shane Bowers. I can't remember.
It was actual Shane Bowers.
Actual Shane Bowers. Listen, at the time he was a top prospect, so that's bad. And then on top, and then to trade him out to Columbus, what they got back was Vitaly Abramov. He's in the KHL. Jonathan Davidson, he's in the SHL. And Lassie Thompson, they just waived him. And then they got him back, but like brutal.
suboptimal, I would say.
The Mark Stone trade was horrendous. They didn't even get a first round pick.
Right, they got Eric Brandstrom.
And then DJ Smith proceeded to yo-yo him and ruin him.
Yep.
So that was brutal.
Booty cheeks.
The Matt Murray, people forget that they not only signed Matt Murray to that contract, they not only signed Matt Murray to 4 years at $6.25 million per after he was coming off 2 very poor seasons, to the point where Pittsburgh was like, please take this guy.
Yeah.
They traded for him.
Jim Rutherford, that was like, I've actually spoken to Jim about this. I'm not going to detail the conversation, but that was a heist.
They gave up a second round pick and a prospect. I can't remember who the prospect is, but they gave
irrelevant.
Yes.
Yeah.
An underrated one too is Zaitsev, and to another extent, like Connor Brown was fine, but basically trading Zaitsev for CC, because you could have done basically what the Leafs did. You just grin and bear it for one more year of Cody CC at what will be 4.5, probably. You know, he's not a good fit.
Fine.
Whatever. But you grin and bear it, and then after that, he's UFA can sign anywhere. Instead, they traded CC. Not only did they help their fiercest divisional rival out of a cap crunch.
Yeah. It made no sense. They literally made zero sense.
They also acquired Nikita Zaitsev for 4 more years of Nikita Zaitsev at $4.5 million. And then to get rid of him, they had to pay a second round pick.
Yeah, it was not ideal.
And then the final one that I just have, and these were just sort of off the top of my head here, Cam Talbot for Philip Gustafson. Or Philip Gustafson for Cam Talbot.
Not ideal.
You trade a guy who was like the franchise goalie in Minnesota.
Alex DeBrincat trade.
And the Alex DeBrincat. And I didn't even bring that up, but the Alex, just because it hasn't been long. Like, I think it's just happened. Like, it's
No. I'm talking the Alex DeBrincat trade from Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Giving up the 7th overall pick, basically, and a couple others.
Kevin Korchinski, who's already in the NHL and looks pretty good. Yeah, not ideal.
Just brutal.
Yeah. Like, I think it's a very, this is one of those situations where
there's nuance to it, I'd say.
It's a very complicated, kind of mishmash of stuff, right? There was a lot of really good, like, let's face it, that core, the most important parts of the team are locked in, and that's super,
and that's all on Dorian.
That's super important. However, a lot of the moves set the team back. And so I think this team could be a lot better than it is. It's still a pretty good team, considering he did all of this with one hand behind his back, with the exception of the DeBrincat trades.
Like a good chunk of the recent missteps that have happened, like they've come when he's had impunity. You know, they've come when he's been able to actually do his job without worrying about all this stuff. They've come, you know, when he hasn't had.
So maybe Eugene was right to like not let him cook.
I think
contracts. Actually, the Corpus Allo contract
was rough. Listen, like pretty. Other than like Giroux, like it just seems like the Sens could. You're right. The Sens could have been so much better.
Right.
They're good. They have a very good core, but like think about how much better they could be with a defense that has a Kevin Korchinski on it. Think about how much better they could be, you know, if they like
had Bowen Byram.
If they had Bowen Byram, or how much better they would be if they had like this version of Mika Zibanejad, you know, like and to be fair, like that changes history. Like, would they have been able to draft these guys?
No,
well, obviously, but like it just.
That was a bad trade, man.
It was a really bad trade.
All right. We're done with the Sens.
We're done with the Sens. Moving on to...
All I'll say is I'm rooting for them because you've got an owner now that I'm like, I like you. And he's clearly doing a lot of stuff for the team. I think they're pesky.
Yeah, man.
Kind of fun. And they've got a German. So obviously, I'm rooting for them.
You know what? I think the fans have suffered enough.
Oh, 100%.
I was definitely having a little bit of schadenfreude.
Yep. He's getting closer, guys. We're learning.
At this point, I have to. You know, but like when all this was dropping the start of the year, but like because Sens fans got pretty high and mighty during the off season. But I mean, no one deserves to suffer this much.
No, this is bad.
Now I'm rooting for them. Rachel, we're gonna spend like max 2 minutes on this because there's not much else to say. But neck protection is making its way into the NHL.
Yeah. So I spoke to somebody who was alive when all of this went down. If in Canada, or Europe, if you were born after 1993, So basically if you're 30 years or younger, you played your entire minor hockey career wearing a neck guard.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much everyone in the NHL that's from Canada, which is 50% of the league, or Europe, which is, I believe, another 10 to 20%. So like 60 to 70% of the league played with a neck guard growing up. They're all capable of doing it. Like, let's just do this. But Nikolai Ehlers has done it. TJ Oshie has done it.
Erik Karlsson.
Erik Karlsson's a big one because he's a superstar, right?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody like
the Randy Norris winner,
if somebody like Austin Matthews, who is, I think we can all agree, the swag king.
Yes.
Right? David Pastrnak too, swag king of the NHL, said, I'm going to wear a neck guard for safety reasons. I think that would do a ton for like other players feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
But TJ Oshie's company, you looked into this.
Yes.
Warrod Hockey.
Mm-hmm.
He makes neck guards.
He does.
And he said he's had people reach out.
He's been inundated, and to the point where like the only thing that is holding back, and what this has revealed, I guess, is the supply issue. Like, not like there was not a big demand for neck protection, and now there is. And Oshie, a good thing of Oshie is like he's not trying to make a buck on this. He's just like, it's important to him. And so he has he just happens to have a company that makes it. And so he's not trying to squeeze. He's not, doing the Amazon Clorox thing during the pandemic where they juice the prices 500%. He's just like, if you need it, like, I'm sure you're good for it. I'll ship it out to you. Like, it's fine. Like, he's just trying to get as many guards on as many necks as possible.
And Rasmus Dahlin wore one, and that's a superstar.
But even like in the AHL, like a bunch, like
because you can mandate it in the AHL.
Yes. So the Rochester Americans, they didn't. I don't think they mandated, but they
the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins mandated it. Dubas mandated it for the entire.
So Dubas mandated it for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. Providence Bruins, like half their rosters wearing it.
I believe the Marlies are.
They're in the process of kind of doing it. Like it's important. It's one of those. This could be a situation where we look back and we go, man, I can't believe players used to play without helmets.
No, that's actually insane. Goalies used to play without masks.
And now, like, I bet, in 30, 40 years, we're going to look back and be like, man, I can't believe players used to play without neck guards. That's crazy. You play with knives strapped to your skates. And the thing that people forget in this is like,
Brendan Shanahan said it the best. You literally play with knives on your feet.
Hockey has never been faster, which means skates have never been sharper. Like, the actual like technology of sharpening skates have never been sharper than they are right now.
Yeah, skates would be considered registered weapons.
You can't bring skates on a flight.
No! What are you, nuts?
Like, you can bring cleats on a flight.
You cannot bring skates on a flight. They'll be like, that's a knife.
It's like, you might as well bring a box cutter on the flight.
Yeah,
you
can't
or a
do
machete. Like,
you just have full-blown, well, they basically are machetes. They're like this long.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so it's really good. And basically, if these bigger players start enacting them, and in Canada, you have to play with neck guard, like we just said.
Yeah, they straight up will not let you on the ice. And they shouldn't.
But like, there's, like basically it seemed like just it's like cages, where it seemed like a thing that players kind of have to do in their minor days, and they ditch when they get to the NHL. We get the big NHLers wearing them now. Players will be like,
so like NHL players, when they're like, oh, it's uncomfortable. You know what's uncomfortable?
Dying.
When you're dead.
It's uncomfortable, bleeding out.
Yeah. Let's talk about what's less comfortable.
Hip resurfacing surgery.
Oh yeah, that's not.
Yeah. So Niklas Backstrom, he underwent that.
He did
in I believe in July or June. No, it was June of 2022.
Yeah,
I remember writing that news hit in the Colorado Avalanche press room during the Cup final. So it was June. Yes. Hip resurfacing surgery is just about the most invasive surgery you can do when it comes to hips.
Yeah,
or
so
lower body.
I'm not gonna explain it.
It's grueling. Like, it's
basically
brutal.
They take a sander and go like on your hip.
They buff it out.
Yeah, they basically buff out. Like, I'm gonna have to buff out some dummy that hit my car and ran away.
Imagine that's a vital bone.
But imagine that's your hip.
Yeah.
It is more painful than a hip replacement.
It is brutal. And like my aunt got a hip replacement 2 weeks ago. And
ouchie. My grandmother's had both hips done.
Yeah. She's like the bionic woman at this point. It's great. She's more machine. I make a joke with my aunt now that she's like RoboCop. She's like more machine than woman now. But it's it's brutal. And I believe there are 2 players who, like in recent memory, who have undergone hip resurfacing surgery. Ed Jovanovski did it.
And played like 10 games.
Came back, played 10 games, basically realized he was washed and got waived.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Kessler underwent hip resurfacing surgery because he was dealing with hip stuff forever, and he never played again.
Right.
Backstrom, though, gets hip resurfacing surgery. And then I believe it was 9 months later or 4 months later, he was back on the ice, like skating.
Yeah.
And then like 9 months later is back in game action. But that has lingered for a while.
Right. And so I think we've seen the last of Nick Backstrom,
you think so?
Which is super unfortunate.
So he announced, and why we're talking about this is because he announced on Wednesday that he is taking some time to step away from the game. There's lingering effects to this. So he's trying to determine sort of what his next steps are. And you think we've seen the last of him?
I think we've seen the last of him. Frankly speaking, I think the only reason he tried to come back was for Ovechkin.
Yeah.
I think Niklas Backstrom might go down as the most underrated player of our young generation.
Without a doubt.
Because his ability to pass the puck was right up there with Joe Thornton.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he might not be in the Hall of Fame, but he's got a cup. He's got an Olympic medal.
Do you think he'll be in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. I think might be the Hall of Very Good. The thing about Nick Backstrom, though, is I loved watching Nick Backstrom play. Like, he was one of the most lethal passers on the power play. And I mean, you had a power play that had Mike Green, Niklas Backstrom, Alex Ovechkin, and then it had John Carlson, then it had TJ Oshie and Evgeny Kuznetsov. But the pillars of that power play were Nick Backstrom and Alex Ovechkin.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the percentage of goals Ovi has scored, Backstrom has assisted on over 50% of his career goals.
You know what? I think there's a case to be made for Backstrom.
What are his totals?
So his totals are he's played 1,105 games.
Okay. So he's got the silver stick.
Yeah,
all right.
So he's got the silver stick. He's well past silver stick.
Yeah.
He's got 271 career goals.
Okay.
So he was never really a goal scorer.
But he never was. Yeah. How many assists?
But his assists, he has 762.
I was gotta be close to 1,000.
And 1,033 points.
Oh, so he's got 1,000 points.
Yes, he has 1,000 points. He has a cup. He led the league in assists. Like in terms of league leaders, he led the league in assists in 2014-15 with 60. But he also had totals that were like in his second year in the league, he had 66 assists.
That's absurd.
His third year, 68.
Almost a nice amount.
Then in 2013-14, 61, 60, 50, 63, 50, 52. And then we go down the list.
Okay, I changed my mind. He's not first ballot, but I
think he gets in there. He was also the thing that does hold me back though, and this is probably because he was he was sort of the Robin to Ovechkin's Batman for so long, is that he doesn't have a ton of individual accolades. Like literally the only thing is he was on the first team all rookie.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Well, we don't have, and this has always bothered me.
You need to have a playmaker, like an assist
award. And it's very easy. You call it the Wayne Gretzky Award. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Because if Wayne Gretzky never scored a goal in the NHL, he'd still be their all-time points leader. Which is the most insane stat in sports.
It is. It's absurd.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I think that's where I kind of stand on Backstrom. I don't think he's ever going to play again, which is very sad for somebody who Nick Backstrom was one of the players I wanted to be.
The thing is, he has a cup. So, other than being there for when Ovechkin gets the all-time goal record, being on
he's
the
not
ice,
going to last another 3 years, so it's not even going to matter.
Exactly.
But I do wonder if Ted Leonsis, because Ted Leonsis is known for treating.
Yes.
If you are loyal to the Caps, he'll be loyal to you.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if they LTIR him and Ted Leonsis says we will pay out your contract.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. I can totally see that.
Is it insured? I bet it's probably insured.
It probably is, but I think Ted Leonsis is going to make him whole anyways.
Yeah, and that's couch change
for him.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh yeah, the guy owns Monumental Sports and Entertainment.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. Yeah. And then finally, Rachel, and I think it was just important that we bring this up: the San Jose Sharks.
Yo,
we might be seeing the worst. So they just lost 10-1 to the Vancouver Canucks last night.
Okay, I was not aware of that. I was in bed.
They just lost 10-1.
Which means I bet on the Vancouver Canucks last night. Did JT Miller score?
Probably.
Okay. Did Quinn Hughes definitely
had a 5-point night.
Okay, so I won the bet because my bet was Vancouver Canucks money line, Vancouver Canucks team total over 3.5, JT Miller to score, and Quinn Hughes to get an assist.
So Quinn Hughes got 4 assists last night. So
shout out to the Vancouver Canucks, baby.
And if he keeps this up a little bit, I want to have like a full Quinn Hughes segment because he is absolutely on fire this year. Like,
who called that one?
You did. Also, I drafted him in fantasy, so I can't help but feel somewhat responsible for this. But I want to talk.
Everyone thinks that I just want to slander the Canucks, and it's like, no, like I'm probably
like
one
people
of
there.
I'm one of the people that's been trumpeting Quinn Hughes as being super underrated for a while now.
So I want to talk about whether or not, and like real quick before we end the show, they're 0-9-1. They're still searching. This is worse than the Leafs 0-7-1. 0-7 in fun year. So they're 0-9 in fun.
They haven't won yet.
They have not won a game. They have.
Oh my God.
10 games. Guess how many goals they've scored?
I believe it's 9.
It's 10. After last night, they got 1.
Okay.
So it's 10 goals. How many goals do you think they've allowed in 10 games?
I'm gonna guess. Because this is how bad I have not looked at the prep. I'm gonna say 47.
You're close. It's 44.
Jeez.
It is
They're average giving up 4.5 goals a game.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm gonna mash the team total of every team who plays them now. Is it like bad goaltending, or are they just bad?
They're just bad because.
And this is with Thomas Hertl and Logan Couture. Like, imagine when they trade them.
Exactly.
Dear God.
And on top of that,
San Jose Sharks fans, I'm sorry.
On top of that, their power play percentage. The average in the NHL is 20.83%. What do you think?
0.
What do you think their power play percentage is?
0.
Do you think it's 0? It's not 0.
Oh, okay.
That would be insane. It's not 0.
What is it?
It's 14.81.
Oh.
The average, again, comparing to league average is 20.8. Their penalty kill, the league average is 79.62.
That's bad.
That's bad. That's still a bad.
That's bad. Yeah.
Penalty kill is down this year. What do you think their PK is?
Is it better or worse than the Canucks last year, who set the league record?
What was theirs?
It's like 56%.
Okay, no, it's not. It's 69.23.
Nice.
Which is nice. Take a guess at what their PDO is.
Oh man, it's got to be like 89.
93.4. Now I want to compare that to the 2016-17 Avs, who finished with
atrocious
48 points. This is like one of the worst teams in recent memory that we can think of.
I'm going to run my model quickly to see how many points the Sharks are expected to get this year.
So keep in mind the Avs. This is the worst. This is very, very well regarded as the worst team of the post-lockout era.
Yeah, it was like them and the McDavid Sabres.
Yeah, the McEichel Sabres.
Yeah.
But this is like definitively. They scored 2.01 goals per game. So it's a full. They're 100% better than the Sharks. They allowed 3.37 goals per game, which is rough, but
so they're 25% worse.
They're a full goal better. They allowed a
That's
full
what I mean. Like the
less.
Sharks are 25% worse in goals against. That's not good.
Their power play was worse at 12.55%.
Oh wow, that's like actively difficult.
But their PK was better at 76.64. And
probably because they had a bunch of plebs who were penalty killers.
And their PDO, which means they even got better goaltending and shooting percentage luck, was 97.4, which is still terrible. But
it's acceptable.
But was better. I think we are barreling towards the worst team of the like.
So they're getting one of Celebrini, Yzerman, or Demidov.
If they get
Hondo.
Well, like if you finish last, don't you?
You get a top 3 pick.
You get a top 3 pick, yeah.
So they're gonna get one of them.
But if I was San Jose and we finish out this year, and I finish with the 3rd overall pick,
I'm furious.
Like there are drywall holes all over the team office.
Yeah.
This is like,
and it's gonna be great when like, oh no, Chicago can't win because they got Bedard.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's gonna be great when like some team like jumps them.
Like the Oilers.
Speaking of which, considering we talked about it last episode, I had to bring this up. Did you see the Arizona Coyotes tweet when you don't draft Logan Cooley 1st overall? Whoever runs Arizona social media
You know what? They were a little unhinged during the off season. And
I'm here for it though.
Somewhat embarrassing when after their land agreement gets like deleted.
Okay, no, I thought that was so funny.
Yo, what's up, people? Like, where should we play or whatever? I'm like, yo, this is elite. Like, this is like a major sports league. Like, it's funny, but you can't do this stuff. But I like it when teams are able to. The
Sharks in my model are projected to finish with 39 points. Oh my God.
We've never seen something like that before. Like I think the closest we've seen is like when the expansion rules were like
in 1967.
Like the expansion rules were like specifically designed to make teams bad for some reason out the gate.
39 points.
That's crazy.
Oh my God. I think we better end on that note because that's like depressing. Sharks fans, I'm so sorry. But
hopefully we didn't ruin your day here.
You're probably going to get a really, really, really good player.
Listen, you're probably going to get Max Celebrini. And he was a San Jose junior Shark growing up.
Man, that would be awesome.
You know, like I get you draft him and you just show millions of pictures of him as a little kid wearing a San Jose junior Shark jersey.
Basically do what the Leafs did with Marner.
Yeah, or do what the Leafs did or do with
Tavares.
Tavares to bring like it's great.
I'm on side with that. Okay, here's what I'm on. The two trains that I'm on.
Okay, what are your two trains? Sens and
Macklin Celebrini to the Sharks. Yeah. That's what I'm on.
I think that's great. I also love the Sharks like teal uniforms. Like I think it look fantastic.
I would like one of those.
And I think that Celebrini will look great in that. So until Monday, Rachel, we bid everyone adieu. Rachel, do you want to leave? Obviously, follow us on Twitter,
social media,
Instagram, all that. Subscribe on YouTube and TikTok.
If you have a couple bucks, donate to Jumpstart. Because it helps kids overcome financial barriers to sport.
Absolutely. We love Jumpstart and Canadian Tire and also Easter Seals.
We will see you on Monday.